Hey, what is going on, guys? We're live here to break down the final slate of 2019. I hope you guys all have a great New Year's Eve. Tobias Harris and Al Horford early slate. Whew, that was tilting to say the least with no Embiid for sure. Let's we got 40 minutes to lock. So as always, we'll go over what we know so far. We can look at some numbers, the over-unders, the spreads for the games, and then we can get to players, their prices, who I'm trying to target, and then we can get to questions at the end. So the pretty big news, James Harden is he's good to go. So he's definitely my favorite spot up there, 10.5K. He's about $1,000 too cheap. We also have Clint Capella active, so that takes obviously Hartenstein out of play. Let's see. Luka Doncic is also in, so I'm basically off all the Mavs besides Luka. We'll see what they end up doing with the starting lineup. You know, maybe if they start DeLon Wright, I would have some interest there. But that's how I'm kind of playing it right now. Paul Millsap got upgraded to questionable. He's actually good to go. He's in the starting lineup. So now I'm off Jeremy Grant. Now I'm off Mason Plumlee. Kai Bowman not in the injury report. He is one of my favorite value plays. I'll talk about a lot of the Warriors. I'm still very high on Golden State. We'll get to that here in a sec. And then let's see, other news. A lot of the stuff was the early slate. Yeah, we had Malcolm Brogdon played like a couple minutes, got injured again. Let's see. Yep, James Harden, Capella, both those guys in. I got Harden is my favorite spend up of the day. Pascal is also available. He's another Warrior I'm definitely considering. The concern with him is the minutes have been a bit down. He's dealing with a hip injury. Let's see. So yeah, Golden State announced their starting lineup with Burks, Lee, Robinson, Green, and Chris. So I think all five starters are very much in play, plus Bowman, and then plus, I think Pascal too as well. On the San Antonio side, their normal starting lineup they've been using the last few games with Murray, Forbes, DeRozan, Lyles, and Aldridge. I have interest in Aldridge and DeRozan. Some interest there in DeJounte Murray as well. Again, Paul Millsap available to play. I think he's an okay option, but him dealing with a knee injury does worry me a bit. And then Houston, let's see, that's the normal starting five with Westbrook, Harden, House, Tucker, and Capella. Again, I really like James Harden at his price. Eric Gordon limited 25 minutes. I'm completely off him with both Westbrook and Harden back. Torrey Craig inserted in the starting lineup. I don't have a whole lot of interest in him. He's a very, very low usage guy. I don't think we have to go there. Just boost the other guys in the lineup with Jamal Murray, Barton, Millsap, and Jokic. Let's look at some numbers here. So this Cleveland-Toronto game right now sitting at 217.5 with Toronto for about 8.5 points. I guess just from what I've heard today, I think I'm more of a contrarian approach because I am not very high on the Toronto guys. But I'll get into that more here in a sec. Denver and Houston sitting at 224 with Houston favored by 6.5 points. Golden State, San Antonio, 217 over-under with the Spurs favored by 11. So there is some blowout risk, but everyone in Golden State's pretty cheap, so I'm not super, super worried about it. Mavs OKC sitting at 220.5 with the Mavs favored by 4. And that's it for this short little 4-game slate for New Year's Eve. So let me go. Let's go team by team, and then I can get to questions. But before I do that, would appreciate if you guys enjoy this content. Just hit that like button. It really helps me out. You got all free content here with YouTube videos, with live streams, as well as answering you guys' questions on Twitter. But let's do it. So let's start with Cleveland side. So again, this game is probably the game I'm the least high on. Kevin Love has been really solid the last 4 games with 50, 41, 40, and 47 fantasy points. The matchup not really the best here, and the price is coming up. It's just a scenario where I'm not super excited about. I like guys in other spots. Like I like Aldridge a lot more at a very similar price point. So I don't see myself getting to Kevin Love. I guess as a contrarian option, you can look to him, but really this Cleveland team I'm not super excited about. Same thing with Tristan Thompson. The price is coming up on him, and I just don't see enough upside there at that price. As far as the secondary pieces, Nance I'm not on with Love and Tristan Thompson healthy. Colin Sexton seems priced right, like Garland, Osman, Kevin Porter. I just don't think we have to take shots on these guys when we have a lot better value plays, in my opinion, with the Golden State guys. So Cleveland, all in all, is a full fade for me. I'm not playing anyone on the Cleveland side, and I'm also not playing anyone on the Toronto side. Now, this is where it gets more. I'm a bit more contrarian, in my opinion, just from what I heard. Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Ibaka. I think they're going to be somewhat popular. It's a really good spot. I'm just concerned because there's a potential for a blowout, and their prices are up. Lowry 8.8 now. Fred VanVleet's now at 8.4. Ibaka is at 7.3. So, again, if you want to go with one of these Raptors guys, I'm not going to talk you off them. Again, I think I'm more contrarian in this sense of I'm just not super high in these guys. But those big three, if you land on them, if you feel good about them, go with your gut. Just not going to be the way that I go personally for this slate. Boucher, I'm a huge Chris Boucher guy, but the minutes are all over the place. Like, if I knew he was going to play 25 minutes, I would love him. But right now, it's just too up and down. Like, RHJ's out of the rotation, basically. OJ and Newbie's minutes have been down. I think one guy that is interesting is Pat McCaw at 4.2. He's been a very low usage guy, but he has got 43 and 37 minutes in back-to-back games. So if he's going to continue to see that type of run, I think you got to have some interest there. And then the other value guys, I don't think we have to go there. Like Terrence Davis at 4.4. I mean, it's getting decent minutes, but I think I would just prefer Pat McCaw, I guess, because he's getting a little bit more run. But that's really what I got for Toronto. Again, if you feel strongly about Lowry, Fred VanVleet, or Ibaka, I'm not going to talk you off them. It's just not the way that I'm going to go on this 4-game slate. Now, since this is a small slate, again, I'm going to go a bit more risky. So just take that in consideration. Again, if you land on one of these guys for cash games, that's perfectly fine. But all in all, again, I'm only playing GPPs. I am doing a full fade of that Cleveland-Toronto game. Next game here is Denver-Houston. So this is where I have a bit more interest here, especially on the Denver side. Jokic at 9.3K, I do like a good amount. I think he goes low owned tonight. Everyone's going to be on Harden. A lot of the guys in the mid-tier as well. So I think Jokic goes a bit lower owned. And I do like his upside a good amount here in a up-tempo game against Capella. Not really scared about his defense. So I do like Jokic a decent amount as contrarian spend up there at 9.3K. I also have interest in these other pieces, especially Jamal Murray and Will Barton. Jamal Murray has been a little bit up and down. He can be scoring dependent at times, but we know his ceiling is pretty high, and this is again up-tempo game. So you got to have interest there in Jamal Murray, especially for GPPs. And same thing with Will Barton at 6.4K. He's way too cheap. I think he's gonna be somewhat popular. If I was playing cash games, I probably would play Will Barton. Either way, you can go in for him for GPPs as well. No Gary Harris is a little bit of usage to go around. So I do like Jamal Murray, and I do like Will Barton a good amount there in the mid-tier. Paul Millsap, again, I'm a little bit worried with the knee injury. They could limit his minutes. I just don't feel great about it. I was really hoping he was out so I could play either Jeremy Grant or Mason Plumlee, but I don't think we can go there with Millsap now healthy. Michael Porter Jr., 4.5K, but he's not in the starting lineup. I don't think we can go there. Torrey Craig, and he's the min price. He's going to start, but I don't know how many minutes he's going to get. If I knew he was going to get like 30 minutes, I would have more interest, but I don't think that's necessarily secure. So, I mean, I guess you could take a shot there in Craig, but I just have no idea what his minutes are going to be like. They have other guys. They have Beasley. They have Michael Porter Jr. they can use. I don't feel great about his minutes. So, the main interest here for me on the Denver side is those two guys in the mid-range with Murray and Barton, and then Jokic is going to try and play there at 9.3K. On the Houston side, so Harden, my favorite spend up. I think he's going to be the most popular spend up, but I will be eating the chalk here at 10.5K. He's about $1,000 too cheap. We have no Gary Harris. That is a boost to him. Gary Harris, one of the better defenders in the NBA, so that's good for James Harden. Either way, I mean, I think he gets about close to 40 minutes in a close game. I know it's, Denver as a whole is pretty solid defensively, but I'm just not concerned with Harden here at this price. One of my favorite plays, or favorite spend up for sure. If you're playing cash games, I definitely think you play Harden. Now, if you want the pivot for GPPs, you could look to Westbrook, who is about $1,000 cheaper. Now, obviously, his upside isn't as high, but his ownership is also going to be, very low compared to James Harden. So, if you're, taking ownership into consideration, I think Harden goes probably 5 times more owned than Westbrook. So, you could take a shot there for Westbrook for GPPs. Again, I think the optimal play is Harden, but he's going to be a lot higher owned. Capella, I do have some interest here at 7.4K. He just plays big minutes. Probably gets about 35 or so in a close game. Denver runs big too, so I do see Capella probably getting around 35, and his price, he does stand out as a pretty solid play there in the mid-tier. Now, the other secondary pieces, I'm kind of off because their prices all came up with Westbrook and Harden out that last game. So House, Hardenstein, like Tucker, Eric Gordon, Rivers, I will not be touching those guys here for this slate. So that's what I got for on the Houston side. If we move on to Golden State San Antonio, so this is where I have the most interest in. Now, again, I know these Golden State guys are going to be chalky, but as of right now, I have 5 Warriors in my lineup. Yeah, I know it's a lot, but I think this is definitely where the best value is. So let's talk about the starting 5 here. First, let's talk about the injuries. Still no Steph Curry, obviously. No D'Angelo Russell. He was getting about 30 to 35 minutes. He was the highest usage guy in the team. So his minutes and usage have to go somewhere. We also have no Willie Cauley-Stein, who's been getting about 25 or so minutes. Those minutes have to go somewhere. So, yeah, I have interest in the whole starting 5 here with Damian Lee, Draymond Green, Burks, Glenn Robinson, and Marquise Chris, as well as Kai Bowman. He's probably my favorite player off the bench there at 3.1K. I think his minutes go up. He was playing, low 20s minutes with D'Angelo Russell, with him out of the lineup. I think he probably pushes closer to 30. So I have a lot of interest in Bowman. I have some interest in Pascal. I'm a little bit uncertain of his minutes because his minutes have been down. He's been dealing with a hip injury. So he's a little bit riskier. If we're talking between, Pascal and Bowman, I definitely think Bowman is the safer option right now. But yeah, all in all, I love all these Warriors here, those 7 that I listed. Now, if you want me to rank them, I think for taking salary into consideration, I think it's probably Kai Bowman or Marquise Chris 1. Those guys are just too cheap for their roles right now. And, Bowman's at min price, Marquise Chris at 4.1. So I think Bowman and Chris would be my favorite plays on the Golden State side, followed by, let's see, I think I would list Burks right behind them at 5.3. He's going to be inserted in the starting lineup. He has shown huge upside. We know he can get us 40, even 50 fantasy points. He has taken games over with no D'Angelo Russell. So I do like him a lot there at that price. And then next for me would probably be Damian Lee or Draymond Green. Both those guys, I think, get about 35 or so minutes. Both have been solid. Damian Lee, we have seen the upside from him recently. Draymond Green, again, I think his minutes are solidified in about 35 or so. He's a guy that fills up the stat sheet. So I think it would be those 2 next. And then Glenn Robinson and then Pascal, just because I'm worried about his minutes. So again, if I'm ranking my Warriors, I think it's Bowman and Chris packaged together as the best play, followed by Burks, followed by Draymond Green and Lee, and then Glenn Robinson, and then Eric Pascal there. Like Jacob Evans, Spellman, Poole, Smoljic, I don't think we have to take shots there. I really don't. Like, one of those guys might have a decent game, right? Spellman might get some more minutes, or Smoljic. I don't know. I just don't think we have to take a shot there. But yeah, all in all, I love the Warriors. Again, I'm playing 5. That's probably a little bit too much, but I'm playing more risky. I'm stacking this game. I'm running it back with Aldridge and then a couple spend-ups. So that's how I'm going about my lineup right now. I really like Golden State. I think this is where the best value is. I think if you're playing cash games, again, someone asked me, I think you play 3, maybe 4 on the high end. But, as of right now, there's not a whole lot of great value plays. So I really think, like, Chris and Bowman stand out as great value plays. Even Burks, like, the Golden State side in general, I just like a lot today. On the San Antonio side, I do have interest in, again, Aldridge, DeRozan, DeJounte Murray, my main interest with those big 3. I think Aldridge, I guess, would be my favorite. We have no Willie Cauley-Stein. I'm not too scared about Marquise Chris defense or Amari Spellman. So, and we have seen big upside games from Aldridge. Like, we've seen him get 50, even 60 fancy points. This could be one of those nights where he puts up over 50. I really like him. The concern with these Spurs guys is there is some blowout risk. I'll talk about the 2 of the Golden State side. There obviously is blowout risk, but you have to take a stand on a small slate. And the stand that I'm taking is that this game stays close. If this game blows out, it's probably going to be an L for me. But again, I'm playing more risky. I'm playing only GPP. So I'm taking a stand, hoping Golden State keeps it close. Yeah, I think my favorite Spur would be Aldridge there at that price. But I also like DeRozan. I also like DeJounte Murray. DeRozan at 7.1K in a close game probably gets 30 to 35 minutes. We know he can get us 40 to 50 fantasy points on a good night. Golden State in general, they don't play a whole lot of defense. So I do have a good amount of interest in DeRozan. DeJounte Murray would probably be my 3rd favorite of those 3, just because, he's never going to get like 35 minutes as of right now, just from what we've seen, right? He's kind of capped at 28. Now, he can for sure get us there in that time. Like, he can get us 35 to 40 fantasy points in that time. So if I was going to rank my Spurs, I think it would be Aldridge 1, DeRozan 2, DeJounte Murray 3. Now, if we talk about the secondary pieces here, Rudy Gay's price is coming up. I know he's had 40 and 31 fantasy points in back-to-back games, but I don't think I want to chase that. I need to see him playing more consistent minutes, like closer to 30. Again, I know he's been good, but I kind of feel like that's chasing playing Rudy Gay. And then the other secondary guard pieces, these are guys you can take shots on for GPPs. I just never feel great about it with Derek White, Bryn Forbes, Patty Mills. I think one of those guys will probably have a pretty solid game, but your guess is as good as mine as whose is going to be. So that's why I don't feel great ever about targeting those guys unless there's some injuries. Jakob Poeltl, 3.6K, maybe gets about 15 or so minutes. Now, he did get extended run because that game blew out. I don't think he plays 23 minutes on a regular basis, so not super excited about him. Trey Lyles is okay at 3.5. I think he gets about 20 or so minutes. He can get us there in that time, so I don't mind Trey Lyles, but, just right now, I'm going to prefer Bowman for $400 cheaper compared to Lyles. I'm going to prefer Marquise Chris for $500 or $600 more. But if you're going like complete stars and scrubs and need like 3 really cheap guys, I wouldn't mind playing Lyles. Like if you're going those 3 really cheap guys, then maybe spend up for like Harden and Doncic or try to get Jokic in there too. So I guess I don't mind Trey Lyles. If he gets 20 so minutes, he's an okay value option. But that's what I got for the Spurs. Again, I think it's Aldridge 1, DeRozan 2, DeJounte Murray 3. You can take shots on the other guys for GPPs. I guess my favorite value guy would be Trey Lyles on the Spurs side, but not super excited about him. Last game of the night, we got Dallas and OKC. So let me confirm on Twitter. I don't think we have a starting lineup yet for Dallas, but let me confirm that. Let's see. So Cavs starting Garland, Sexton, Osman, Love, Thompson. Raptors are starting. Okay, well that definitely changes some things, guys. So Lowry, Fred VanVleet, McCall, Hollis, Jefferson, and Ibaka. RHJ starting over OG Anunoby. So let's see. Lineup note: Danilo Gallinari, Dennis Schroeder won't have minutes. So they got ruled in. Okay. So sorry I missed that in the last 10 minutes. So let me go back really quick to Toronto. So with RHJ now starting over OG Anunoby, I do have some interest here at this price. Again, though, your guess is as good as mine as how many minutes he gets. Like, he has gotten 29, 38 minutes, but also 18, 19, and then 3 that last game. He is starting, so I guess I feel a little bit more confident with his minutes. But, they have other guys. Like, they have OG off the bench. They have other guys. It's just tough for me to predict how many minutes he's going to get. So I think RHJ is very, very much in play now as a value guy, but your guess is as good as mine as how many minutes he's going to play. If you're going to make me guess, I would say 25 minutes for RHJ. And if that's the case, I think he stands as a pretty solid value option, but I can't say that with confidence. So, I guess now on the Toronto side, my favorite play would be RHJ, hoping he gets, 25 to 30 minutes. But back to, so this was the last game of the night here, Dallas OKC. So we don't have a Dallas starting lineup yet. We have Hardaway's out and Luka Doncic is in. With Luka Doncic in, that definitely takes a hit to a lot of these value guys. Not super excited about a lot. Now, with Hardaway out, like he was playing decent minutes. He was playing, close to 30 a game. So those minutes do have to go somewhere. It's going to be interesting to see who they start. Depending on who they start, I guess my most interest in the secondary pieces would be DeLon Wright, just because he has flashed the upside in limited time, 19, 21, 22, and 19 minutes. He's been pretty solid on a point-per-minute basis. So if they insert DeLon Wright into the starting lineup for Hardaway, then I would have more interest in DeLon Wright, because I think his minutes go up a bit. Maybe he gets 25 or 30, and if that's the case, I would have more interest. But yeah, he would probably be my preferred target as far as those secondary pieces. Everyone else, with like JJ Barea, Brunson, Seth Curry, DFS, you can take dart throws on those guys. I just don't feel great about it. As far as Luka himself, I think he's more of a contrarian option in my opinion. I don't think he's going to be that high owned. I think a lot of the ownership is going to go to Harden. And I think Doncic is probably half that ownership, maybe even less. So I still don't mind him. There is, obviously risk dealing with that wrist injury. I think he was dealing with a back injury as well, if I remember correctly. But yeah, so he's been dealing with a few injuries here. And I think that's going to lower his ownership. But I still think there is some upside. I think he's more of a contrarian play, though, in my opinion. Kristaps with Luka playing, I don't have a whole lot of interest here. It just limits his upside a lot. So I'm not super excited about Porzingis, and that's really it for Dallas. So I guess you're going to make me rank as of right now. Again, we don't have a starting lineup unless I pass over it. I have not seen it. A lot of the stuff is for Wednesday with Minnesota, who I'm not excited to break down that team at all. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I guess you're going to make me rank my Mavs. I think it would be DeLon Wright number 1. Now again, that's me banking on the fact that he gets inserted in the starting lineup. We'll see if he does. If he does get inserted in the starting lineup, I do have more interest there in DeLon Wright. And then I guess Luka too. Everyone else, not super excited. Like Dwight Powell's price is way up. And yeah, with Luka playing, it just limits a lot of the guys' upside. So that's what I got for Dallas. Not super excited about a lot there. On the OKC side, not a lot I'm excited about either now because they're fully healthy with CP3, SGA, Steven Adams, Schroeder, and Gallinari. Gallinari and Schroeder are now available. It doesn't look like they're going to be on a minutes limit. And when this team is fully healthy, they're just a very, very balanced team with those 5 guys. Now, probably one of those guys is going to have a big game, but it's always tough to predict. I think everyone's price is about right as far as the big 5 there with CP3, SGA, Steven Adams, Schroeder, Gallinari. You can take a shot at Noel, but he's never going to get more than like 20 or so minutes unless Steven Adams gets injured or in foul trouble. So I guess my breakdown of it is if you land on one of those OKC guys, that's perfectly fine. But I'm not going to go out of my way to play him with now everyone healthy. I guess my favorite Thunder player would be Chris Paul just because he's a guy that fills up the stat sheet. He probably gets 30 to 35 minutes. He has flashy upside. So I think he probably would be my favorite OKC guy. But again, my breakdown is if you land on one of those guys, it's fine. But I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to play any of those guys. And that's basically it for my breakdown. So again, I'm going more a bit risky here with GPP only. As you guys know, just for my breakdown, I'm basically stacking that Golden State San Antonio game, running it back with Harden, and that's how I'm going about this slate. But let's get to some questions here. We got about 15 minutes until lock, so let's get into it. Let's see. Yo, read chat. Hollis Jefferson is starting over Anunoby. Yeah, so I think Hollis Jefferson now makes for a pretty solid value play. Again, I don't have a great guess on how many minutes he's going to play. I would say 25 is reasonable. Harden, Ibaka, or Westbrook, Aldridge, and GPP. So I would go... I'll go Westbrook, Aldridge there. Just because Westbrook's going to be a lot lower owned, and I like LMA more than I do like Ibaka. Let's see. Does anybody know starting guards with Dallas? Yeah, so we're still waiting on that starting lineup here for Dallas. Again, I don't have a whole lot of interest in those secondary pieces. I think DeLon Wright would be my favorite if he does get inserted into the starting lineup, but we'll see. My lineup is Harden, Burks, Green, Aldridge, Chris, DeRozan, Lee, and Kai Bowman. GPP thoughts almost identical to mine. Again, that's the way I'm going about this slate. I think that's definitely more a GPP build. Again, for cash games, it's probably 3 Warriors, maybe 4 on the high end. But just right now, I just think that's the best value. Those Golden State guys. I think RHJ now makes for a pretty solid value play. But yeah, there's just not a whole lot of great value plays. So I do like that a lot for GPPs. That's the way I'm going on this slate. How about Curry in a GPP? Seth Curry, yeah. I mean, you can take a shot on him. If he gets inserted in the starting lineup, maybe plays a few extra minutes. Again, I think my preferred secondary piece would be DeLon Wright, just because he's been pretty solid in limited time. Jokic or Doncic, DFS, points only, not counting in salary. Well, if it doesn't matter about salary, then obviously Doncic, but I would take Jokic taking salary into consideration. I like Jokic more for his price compared to Doncic, but if it's just straight up, obviously I'll go Doncic there. Chris or Pascal, so I definitely think Chris is the safer option. It kind of pains me to say Marquise Chris is safe because he is a guy that does get in foul trouble. I guess I forgot to bring that up. Marquise Chris, he's a guy that, never can really keep his hands to himself, so that is a concern, but I think he's going to be super, super chalky, and if he gets like over 20 minutes, I really don't see him failing, so I will go Marquise Chris there. Is Luka playing? Luka is in, yes. So that's why I'm not super excited about a lot of those Dallas guys. Lowry and Lee or Aldridge and Capella. I will go Aldridge and Capella there. Luka is playing. Yep. You not worried about foul trouble for Chris? Yes, so I am a little bit worried. That's what I was saying. He does seem to always get in foul trouble, but at his price at 4.1K, I don't think he will kill you, even if he does get in foul trouble. Like, if he gets in foul trouble and only plays 15 minutes or so, I still think he can probably get you at like 15 to 20. So I think even on a bad day, he probably won't kill you. Jamal Murray, big upside. Yes, I do like Jamal Murray a good amount. Him, Barton, and Jokic, I have a lot of interest there on the Denver side. Yeah, I have Will Barton as well. So I have Harden, Barton, and then basically a game stack there with Golden State and San Antonio. Jamal Murray, yep. Who do you like in the utility at 7K or less? Always fade Spurs. So let's see. 7K or less. I would go Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray or Will Barton. Again, if you land on one of those OKC guys, it's fine, but I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to play him. So I think it would be Jamal Murray or Will Barton there. And again, guys, I'm taking a stand that Golden State keeps this game close. There's obviously, that game has the most blowout risk. If we're just looking at numbers, it's at a 11.5 point spread. So there is a decent chance the game could blow out. But, I mean, on short slates, you have to take a stand somewhere. That's where I'm planting my flag. If the game blows out, I'm going to lose, but I'm fine with that. But we got 15 minutes until lock. So any more questions here? Let's see. Luka, Lee, Capella, or Luka, McCaw, and Jokic. So, that's tough. I think Lee and Capella is probably the safer option there, just because McCaw is a very low usage guy, but he has gotten the minutes recently. I think if you're shooting for upside, the riskier option would be McCaw Jokic. So it'd probably be Lee Capella for cash games and McCaw Jokic for GPPs. Fave Warriors in order. Yeah, so I went over that, but I'll run over it again. So this is taking price into consideration for Golden State. It's going to be Bowman and Marquise Chris tied for the best play, in my opinion. I think those guys are just too cheap. I think Bowman probably gets about 30 or so minutes. I think Marquise Chris, if he stays out of foul trouble, probably gets over 20. So it'd be Bowman and Chris as my favorite play. And then Burks, number 2. And then I think Draymond Green and Lee are tied for my third there. So those two tied next. And then Glenn Robinson, and then Eric Pascal, just because Pascal dealing with a hip injury. I don't know what his minutes are going to be like, but I think he's worth a shot for GPP. So again, I think it's Bowman and Chris being the top play, then Burks, then Draymond Green and Lee, and then Glenn Robinson, followed by Eric Pascal. Power forward center for 4,800 aside from Chris, Millsap. Let's see. Power forward center, 4,800. See, that's where I was in my original build too. I don't feel great about playing Millsap just because he's coming back for that injury, but you don't really have a whole lot of options. So I think Millsap is your best bet. Hopefully he gets about 25 or so minutes. If he does, I don't think he'll kill you. But yeah, I think that's probably the move is Millsap. Steven Adams, Glenn Robinson, or Clint Capella, Eric Pascal, playing 4 Warriors, by the way. I think the cash game option is probably Steven Adams, Glenn Robinson, but I like the riskier option, more upside in my opinion, is Clint Capella, Eric Pascal. Because if Eric Pascal gets like 25 minutes, he can crush that salary. So I think it's definitely Pascal and Clint Capella for GPPs, and then Steven Adams, Glenn Robinson for cash games. Is McCaw playable in GPPs? Yeah, he's really cheap. He's gotten big minutes the last couple games, so I think he's very much in play for GPPs. Him and RHJ are probably my favorite plays in the Raptors. Again, I'm going more contrarian in this slate. I'm not super excited about Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and Ibaka. Kind of hoping that game blows out, but we'll see. Aldridge Rosen deadly combo tonight. Yeah, I mean, I just like that game in general. That's where I'm going with a lot of my exposure is Golden State, San Antonio. Hoping the game stays close. But yeah, I think you can definitely play both those guys. Sup, DK, Capella or LMA for you? That's really close as well. I will go slightly give the edge to LaMarcus Aldridge because of the matchup, but it's really close with both those guys. I like both a good amount. Capella, Adams, or Jokic. If salary doesn't matter, I will definitely go Jokic there. Thank you. Of course, man. Aldridge or Love, so I'm going to go Aldridge there. Jamal Murray or Chris Paul? Please answer. Yeah, so I will go Jamal Murray there. Now, I know he's been a little bit more up and down. I guess if you're playing cash games, it's probably Chris Paul. But I just like the upside more with Jamal Murray. Again, with Gallinari and Schroeder being active, that caps Chris Paul's upside a little bit, in my opinion. Whereas Jamal Murray in a great matchup, we have seen ceiling games from him. He can get us 50, even 60 fancy points. Would it be bad to fade Chris? He's over 60% owned. I don't think so. I think you can take a stand and fade him. Am I fading him? No. But there's a chance he gets in foul trouble. Again, he does have foul trouble issues. They have other bodies they can use. They can run small ball Draymond Green. They have Pascal. They have Spellman. They have Samoljic. So they have, probably mispronounced that guy's name. I don't know how to pronounce his name. But they have other bodies. So I think you can make an argument to fade Marquese Chris for sure. Murray for me, yeah. So I'm going to go Murray there too. Westbrook or Doncic. Russ Westbrook has hit 45 plus last 6 games. Well, his salary doesn't matter. I'm going to go Doncic. But taking salary into consideration, I probably would take Westbrook there. Do you like Brunson tonight? Not really. With Luka playing, I just don't know what his minutes are going to be like. Now, they probably go up a little bit with Hardaway out, but I don't feel confident in him playing like 20 to 25 minutes. I think there's a chance he gets like 10 minutes or so. So I can't recommend him with confidence. A better matchup, and everybody's healthy for OKC. Exactly my thoughts. Thoughts on Love. So I'm not super excited about that game in general, Cleveland and Toronto. I think Love is more of a contrarian option. Again, I prefer Aldridge. I prefer Capella that are priced very similar to Love. So not super big on Love tonight. Do Pascal and Chris negate each other? Not really. I mean, they're so cheap that it doesn't really matter in my opinion. Like I think you can play both Chris and Pascal together. I think Chris, if he stays out of foul trouble, probably gets 20 to 25. I think Pascal, again, that's more of a question mark because he's been dealing with the hip injuries. Minutes have been limited. I think his minutes range probably from like 10 to 25 or 30. So, and again, Pascal's like almost mid-price. Chris is 4.1K. So I think you can play them both together. Yeah, Millsap is the best option at that price. Gross. Exactly. That was my original build too. So my original build, I had Jokic in there, and I had Jeremy Grant. I really liked my lineup. But with Paul Millsap being active, I had to take Jeremy Grant, and I just don't feel great about Millsap, so I rearranged my lineup. I got Aldridge in there instead of Jokic. I moved a couple other pieces around. Thanks. One more. Steven Adams or Tristan Thompson? I'm going to go Steven Adams there. Both are somewhat similar. I just like the matchup a little bit better there for Steven Adams. Westbrook, Garland, or Harden, Brunson? I'm not really excited about Garland or Brunson. What have Garland's minutes been like? Let's see. $29, $26, $28, and $29. Yeah, so, I mean, I got to go with Garland and Westbrook there just because I think there's a chance Brunson sees very, very limited time. So I got to go with those two. Let's see. Thoughts on Seth Curry? Yeah, I think Seth Curry is worth a shot. I think my preferred secondary piece would be DeLon Wright, but Seth Curry probably gets a little bit extra run. He's worth a shot for GPPs. I can't recommend him with confidence, but if he's knocking down those threes, he can get you there. Ibaka or Capella? I'm going to go Capella there. Cash lineup is Burks, Harden, Lee, Aldridge, Chris, Bowman, RHJ, and Lowry. Yeah, that's really solid in my opinion. Again, he didn't go overboard like me with the Golden State guys. You have what, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think 3 to 4 is probably the ideal range for cash games in my opinion. But I think that's a really solid cash game lineup. Porzingis and Curry or Wright and Schroeder. I'm just not super excited about a lot of those guys. I'll go DeLon Wright and Schroeder. Yeah, I'll go Wright and Schroeder. I don't really feel great about either option, though. Let's see. Harden, Jamal Murray, Damian Lee, Chris, Aldridge, Burks, Barton, Bowman. GPP line for me. Yep. Almost identical to mine. I like that a lot. Appreciate you, DK. Of course, man. Brunson, LL, that shit has sailed. That ship has sailed. Yeah, I mean, he was getting big minutes when he was starting with Luka out. Now, his minutes last game with Hardaway Jr. being he missed a lot of that game. He only got 6 minutes. So that's why I just can't recommend him with confidence. Sure, there's a shot he could play over 20 minutes. I can't recommend him with confidence. Yo, DK. Hey, what's up, man? Thanks as always, DK, and Happy New Year to all. Yeah, I hope you guys all have a great New Year. Stay safe out there. Again, I'm drinking my coffee. It's going to be a late night, but GPP, Bowman, Lee, McCaw, Aldridge, Capella, DeRozan, Love, contrarian pick of the night. Okay, and Jamal Murray. Perfectly fine with that. Again, Love is more contrarian, but no issue with that. Spellman or Craig, also Chris or McCaw. So I think Spellman will get more minutes. The issue is he was basically out of the rotation, and they do have other bigs that can run more small ball. So I don't think I can recommend Spellman with confidence. So I will go Craig there just because I think Craig probably gets at least 20 minutes, maybe a little bit more. So I got to go Craig there. Also, Chris or McCaw. I'll go Chris. It is somewhat close because McCaw has been getting big minutes. But I just like the upside a little bit more on Marquise Chris. So I'll go Marquise Chris there. I know Chris is going to be super popular, but that's kind of what I got. So, again, guys, brief overview, really quick. Cleveland, Toronto, not super excited about that game. If it wasn't a target players in this game, I think it would be on the Toronto side. I think it would be those value guys with RHJ and with Pat McCaw. Denver, Houston. On the Denver side, I like Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Barton. On the Houston side, it's Harden and Capella. Don't mind Westbrook either. Golden State, San Antonio. I already talked about Golden State a lot. I like a lot of those guys. On the San Antonio side, Aldridge is my favorite play, but don't mind DeRozan, don't mind DeJounte Murray. And then Dallas, OKC. I think it's DeLon Wright probably being my favorite play if he starts. If he doesn't start, I would be a little bit more worried. Don't mind Luka as a contrarian spend up. OKC, I'm fine if you land on any of those big five there, but I'm not going to go out of my way to play him. I think Chris Paul would be my favorite. Clemson versus LSU in the Natty. I was rooting for Clemson against LSU so hard. Yeah, I was too. Super glad LSU lost. Excited for that game though. That one should be good. Today's my B-day, so I deserve a good win, right? That's totally how it works. I hope you get a big win. Happy birthday, though, by the way. Yeah, I hope you get a big win, man. Let's see. Thank you for everything, and have a good night. You too, man. Appreciate the kind words. As far as the slate for New Year's Day, I don't know. I'm running a bit short on time. I might try and get a video up right after this and upload it. We'll see. If not, I may have a video up tomorrow, or I may just not have a video in general, but I'm definitely not going to be able to get one up later tonight for sure. Again, I might try and get it up right after this live stream. If not, that video will possibly be up tomorrow, or I will just tweet out a player pool of guys I like. Have a good night, DK. Thanks for the stream as always. Of course, man. Thanks for always being in here. Hope you have a good New Year's. Have a good night. Hope we all have a happy New Year's. Of course, man. I'll make a GPP lineup. Yeah, so again, my GPP lineup, which I'm sticking with, is that stack of Golden State and San Antonio, and then running it back with Harden. I have Barton in there as well. Timberwolves chalk tomorrow. Yeah, I saw a lot of those guys are out. I hate Ryan Sanders. I just hate trying to break down the rotation, but basically everyone is out. So, yeah, so we do have, let's see, we're at lock. I can go over my lineup because I have everyone in that early game. So if you guys are curious, I can show you guys my lineup. Let's see. Because right now, I don't have anyone in that late game, the Dallas OKC game. So I can show you guys what I got here. I'm off to get dinner. Good luck and Happy New Year's. And ladies, if you're looking here, thanks, DK. Of course, man. Hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good birthday. But yeah, once it loads, I'll just go over my lineup. We can go over ownerships. It always takes a second to load here. Let's see. And it looks like my showdown lineup in that Sacramento Clippers game is not going to cash. Shamet was a bit disappointing. Let's see who's doing good in that game. I got Harden, Burks, Lee, Chris, Jokic, Bowman, RHJ, DeRozan. Yep, very, very similar to mine. I like that a lot. But yeah, let me go over some ownership here. So, let's see. We can go over the $40 or $44 tournament, I guess. So, this is what I got here. Again, I want the full game stack and ran it back with Harden and Will Barton. So those Warriors, I played Bowman, Lee, Green, Marquise, Chris, and Alec Burks. Ran it back with Aldridge. He's pretty low owned. I like that ownership. I got Will Barton and James Harden in that Denver-Houston game. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. The ownership on, again, Chris and Bowman were the two guys I felt the most confident just because they're the cheapest. Then Burks, and that ownership kind of represents what I was thinking. Draymond Green and Damian Lee, I like the ownership on both those guys. They're somewhat low. Again, Aldridge ownership is really, really low. Let's look at some other guys' lineups and see what some ownership is. So Fred VanVleet coming in at 16%, Millsap at 12%, Lowry at 22%, Jamal Murray at 11%. I like that ownership there for Jamal Murray. Let's see. RHJ coming in at 30%. Again, I liked him. I liked McCaw as value guys. Jokic at 17%. I do like that ownership a good amount. Eric Pascal at 9%. You know, I just don't know what his minutes going to be like. He could play 10. He could play 25. If he gets that high end, I think he can definitely get you there. Kevin Porter Jr., 2%. Not super excited about that. Capella at 26. I thought he was a pretty solid play. Kevin Love at 26%. Okay. Again, I would prefer Aldridge. I would prefer Capella. That are very, very similar price. But, you know, Kevin Love has been good for sure. And if Cleveland stays in that game, most likely Kevin Love's going to have a big game. Trey Lyles is 7%. Don't mind it. Again, I just like the Golden State value a little bit more there. Rudy Gay, 5%. Harden, 61%. Again, I already talked about that. Again, this is in the $44 tournament. Pat McCaw, 10%. Russell Westbrook, 11%. So I like that ownership a lot. Harden, again, I said, what, a fifth of the ownership. Harden is 60%. Westbrook, about 10%. So he was about a sixth of the ownership to James Harden. Serge Ibaka, 27%. I think this guy just entered he just entered literally the same lineup like so many times. Glenn Robinson, 17%. Wasn't super excited about him. I just preferred the other Warriors. Derek White, 2%. But yeah, that's basically it here. So let's see. Thanks for everything, 2019 DK. Happy New Year, bro. Yeah, Happy New Year to you too. Okay, let's see. Murray, 13% on my contest. Again, I like that ownership a lot there for Jamal Murray. Bowman, Luka, Beard, McCaw, Burks, Barton, Chris, RHJ, Jokic. I like that too. You're going very stars and scrubs, but that is a perfectly fine way to go. I think all those value guys are very much in play. So the upside in that lineup is huge if those three studs pay off for you. We almost had the exact same lineup again. I mean, I'm not surprised. You always, whenever I'm in the live stream, you always almost come very, very close, if not to my exact same lineup. I think you've made my exact lineup probably 3 or 4 times already. But yeah, it's always really, really similar to mine. Why didn't you go DeRozan over Barton? I did not have the salary. I had, or I believe I didn't have a salary. I could be wrong there. It was either $500 or $700 left over. I'm pretty sure I didn't have the salary to get DeRozan. I could be wrong. I might have made a mistake there. I thought I only had $500 left. It could have been $700. Thinking back on it, I'm pretty sure I didn't have the salary. That's why I didn't get DeRozan. I feel like we had the same exact lineup I went to tomorrow over Barton, so maybe I could have. Okay, so probably a process mistake there for me. But yeah, I probably should have played DeMar, but I mean, I liked both those guys for sure. So yeah, I'm going to hop out here, guys. I don't think I'm going to have enough time to make a video for Wednesday's slate, at least tonight. Possibly have one up tomorrow. If not, I'll have a player pool on my Twitter. But I hope you guys all have a fun, safe night. And yeah, I'll hopefully win some money, and I will see you guys later.